What if I told you? The strongest person in the room is rarely the loudest one. Think about the people you've admired throughout your life. The calm leader who never needed to raise their voice. The wise teacher who listened more than they spoke. The successful entrepreneur who didn't waste time arguing with critics. They all shared one thing in common. They understood the power of silence. In today's world, everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants to prove they're right. Everyone wants the last word. But the people who truly change their lives often master something far more valuable. They master the art of saying less. Because silence isn't weakness. Silence is control. And the moment you learn how to control yourself, you become someone very difficult to defeat. Today, we're going to explore why silence may be the most powerful weapon you will ever possess. Welcome back. Have you ever walked away from an argument and later realized, I shouldn't have said that? Almost everyone has. Words spoken in anger can destroy relationships in seconds. But silence has the power to protect them. The strange thing is, most people spend years learning how to speak. Very few spend time learning when not to. Yet throughout history, the wisest philosophers, the greatest leaders, and the strongest minds have all understood one timeless truth. Not every battle deserves your voice. Sometimes, the greatest victory comes from saying nothing at all. Chapter 1. The world rewards noise, but life rewards wisdom. We live in a noisy world. Phones vibrate every few minutes. Social media encourages everyone to share every opinion. Arguments spread faster than understanding. And somewhere along the way, silence became misunderstood. People began to associate quietness with weakness. If you don't defend yourself immediately, they assume you've lost. If you don't answer every criticism, they think you've surrendered. But reality tells a different story. Have you ever noticed how mountains never compete with the wind? The wind shouts. The mountain remains silent. Years pass. The wind changes direction thousands of times. The mountain still stands. Strength doesn't always announce itself. Real strength often remains calm. Many people waste enormous amounts of energy trying to convince everyone around them. They argue online. They explain themselves repeatedly. They defend every decision. Yet, their lives never become more peaceful. Because peace doesn't come from winning arguments. It comes from choosing which arguments are worth having. Every unnecessary fight steals something from you. Your attention. Your energy. Your time. Things you will never get back. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with heavy stones. Each stone represents one pointless argument you've refused to let go. Eventually, the weight becomes unbearable. Life feels exhausting. Not because life is difficult, but because you've been carrying things that were never yours to carry. Silence is how you finally put those stones down. Chapter 2. The strongest mind is the one that controls itself. Most people believe power means controlling others. But history suggests something completely different. The greatest form of power is self-control. Anyone can react. Anyone can yell. Anyone can lose their temper. But remaining calm, especially when emotions are high, requires something far rarer. Discipline. Imagine someone insults you in public. Your heart begins to race. Your mind immediately searches for the perfect comeback. You want to defend yourself. You want everyone watching to know you're right. But here's the question. Who is really in control? The person who insulted you? Or the person who can still choose their response? Because the moment someone else controls your emotions, they begin controlling your actions. And once they control your actions, they influence your future. Ancient philosophers believed that no one could truly harm you without your permission. Not because pain isn't real, but because your response always belongs to you. Two people can hear the exact same insult. One becomes furious. The other smiles and walks away. The words were identical. The difference was the mind receiving them. Your greatest weapon has never been your voice. It has always been your ability to decide what deserves your attention. Chapter 3. Why quiet people often have the greatest influence. Have you ever entered a room where everyone was talking at once? Voices overlapped. Opinions collided. Everyone seemed desperate to be heard. Then there was one person. They said almost nothing. They simply observed. They listened. They watched every expression, every pause, every reaction. And when the room finally became quiet, they spoke. Only a few sentences. Yet somehow, everyone listened. Why? Because words become valuable when they are rare. In today's world, attention has become one of the most valuable currencies. Most people spend it carelessly. They speak before they think. They interrupt before they understand. They react before they observe. But quiet people invest their attention wisely. They gather information that others miss. They notice the nervous smile, the hesitation before an answer, the confidence hidden behind simple words. Silence allows them to see what noise often hides. Think about a game of chess. The strongest player isn't the one who moves the fastest. It's the one who sees further. Every move is calculated. Every decision has purpose. Life works much the same way. People who constantly speak often reveal every strategy they have, every plan, every emotion, every weakness. But those who remain quiet keep their greatest advantages hidden. Mystery creates curiosity. Curiosity creates respect. And respect creates influence. There's an old saying. The less people know about your next move, the more powerful your move becomes. Think about that for a moment. How many dreams have disappeared simply because they were announced too early? Someone starts a business. Before it's built, they tell everyone. Someone begins learning a new skill. Before they've improved, they post about it. Someone decides to change their life. Before taking real action, they seek applause. The applause feels good. But applause is not progress. Action is. Quiet progress often leads to loud results. Chapter 4. The hidden psychology of silence. Human beings are naturally curious. Our minds dislike unfinished stories. When we don't know something, our imagination begins filling the gaps. That's why silence can become so powerful. When someone explains every detail, there's nothing left to discover. But when someone leaves room for mystery, people continue thinking about them long after they've left. This is why truly confident people rarely feel the need to prove themselves. They don't chase validation. They don't argue with every opinion. They understand something important. Not everyone deserves access to every part of your life. Imagine planting a seed. Would you dig it up every morning, just to check if it's growing? Of course not. You leave it alone. You trust the process. You give it time. Your dreams deserve the same patience. Many people destroy their own progress by exposing it too early. Not everyone who smiles at your goals wants to see them succeed. Some people doubt you. Others compete with you. Some simply don't understand your vision. That's why silence protects growth. Just as roots grow strongest before anyone sees the tree. There is another reason silence matters. It teaches emotional independence. When you stop explaining yourself to everyone, you stop depending on everyone's approval. When criticism no longer controls your emotions, you become free. Because freedom isn't about changing other people. It's about refusing to let other people control you. The strongest people in life are rarely those who win every argument. They are the ones who no longer need to. One day, you'll discover something surprising. The people who truly care about you won't require endless explanations. And those determined to misunderstand you will never be satisfied. No matter how much you say. That's the moment you'll realize. Silence isn't avoidance. Silence is wisdom. It is knowing where your energy belongs. Chapter 5. When walking away becomes your greatest victory. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize not every battle deserves to be fought. At first, this feels wrong. We grow up believing that strength means standing your ground. That courage means having the last word. That winning means proving everyone else wrong. But life has a strange way of teaching a different lesson. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is simply walk away. Imagine throwing a rock into a calm lake. For a brief moment, the water ripples. Then, slowly, it becomes still again. Now imagine throwing another rock. And another. And another. The water never has a chance to become calm. Many people live exactly like that. Every criticism. Another rock. Every insult. Another rock. Every negative opinion. Another rock. They spend years reacting to every little disturbance. Never realizing they are the ones keeping their own minds restless. There is a quiet freedom that comes from refusing to react. Not because you don't care, but because you've learned that your peace is worth protecting. Think about the ocean. Storms may rage across its surface. Huge waves crash against the shore. But deep below, the water remains calm. Your mind should become like that. The surface may experience chaos. But deep inside, there should always be peace. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing they must defend themselves against every accusation, every rumor, every misunderstanding. But here's the truth. People who are determined to dislike you don't need evidence. And people who truly know you don't need explanations. The more you chase every opinion, the more you lose yourself. Eventually, you stop living your own life and begin living inside other people's expectations. Walking away isn't giving up. It's choosing something greater. It's choosing your future over your ego. Because ego always demands another argument. Wisdom quietly says, keep walking. Chapter 6. The peace that comes from mastering yourself. There is one battle that every human being must fight. Not against the world. Not against difficult people. But against themselves. Your greatest enemy has never been another person. It has always been your uncontrolled emotions. Fear. Anger. Jealousy. Pride. These silent enemies have destroyed more dreams than failure ever could. Think about a fire. A small flame can warm an entire home. But the same fire, left uncontrolled, can burn everything to the ground. Emotions work the same way. Anger isn't evil. Fear isn't weakness. Sadness isn't failure. But without self-control, they become destructive. Silence creates space. Space creates awareness. Awareness creates wisdom. And wisdom changes everything. Many people search for peace. In money. In success. In recognition. They believe, if I achieve enough, I'll finally feel calm. But peace has never lived outside of you. It begins the moment you stop fighting battles that don't matter. It begins when you stop comparing your journey to everyone else's. It begins when you realize that your value doesn't depend on someone else's opinion. There is a powerful image used by ancient philosophers. Imagine carrying a cup filled to the very top with water. Now imagine someone bumps into you. What spills out? Only what was already inside. Life works exactly the same way. Pressure doesn't create your character. It reveals it. If anger pours out, anger was already there. If kindness pours out, kindness was already there. Silence gives you the opportunity to fill your heart with better things. Patience. Understanding. Humility. Compassion. One day, people may never remember how loudly you defended yourself. But they will remember how peacefully you carried yourself. They will remember the calmness you brought into difficult moments. Because true strength doesn't make noise. It creates peace. Chapter 7. Why silence earns respect without ever asking for it. Respect is one of the few things in life that cannot be demanded. You cannot force someone to admire you. You cannot argue someone into respecting you. And you certainly cannot buy genuine respect. Real respect is earned quietly. Have you ever noticed that the people who constantly remind others of their success often receive the least admiration, while those who simply live with integrity naturally attract respect wherever they go? Why? Because confidence doesn't need an announcement. Imagine standing beneath a giant oak tree. It doesn't tell you how strong it is. It doesn't convince anyone of its worth. It simply stands. Season after season. Storm after storm. Year after year. Its silence becomes proof of its strength. Your character should become like that tree. People shouldn't believe your values because you speak about them. They should believe them because they see them. Many people spend years trying to create the perfect image. They carefully choose what others see. They chase approval. They fear criticism. But those who understand silence live differently. They stop performing. They stop pretending. They stop measuring their worth through applause. Because they know approval is temporary. Character is permanent. And in the end, people forget impressive words. But they never forget consistent actions. Chapter 8. The most powerful weapon you will ever carry. So, what is the true power of silence? It is not the absence of words. It is the presence of wisdom. Silence teaches patience. Silence protects your peace. Silence reveals truth. Silence allows you to observe before reacting, to understand before judging, to choose instead of simply responding. In a world addicted to noise, silence becomes rare. And whatever is rare becomes valuable. There will always be people who misunderstand you. People who criticize you. People who doubt your dreams. You cannot stop them. But you don't have to join them. Every minute spent proving yourself is a minute stolen from becoming yourself. Your future doesn't depend on convincing everyone. It depends on continuing your journey. Quietly. Consistently. Patiently. One day, you'll look back and realize something beautiful. The arguments you never entered never mattered. The insults you ignored lost their power. The opinions you stopped chasing set you free. And the silence you once feared became the foundation of your strength. Imagine an archer holding a bow. Before the arrow flies forward, it must first be pulled backward. From the outside, it looks like retreat. But in reality, it's preparation. Silence works the same way. Sometimes life pulls you back. Sometimes it asks you to wait. Sometimes it asks you to remain quiet. Not because you're losing, but because you're gathering strength for what's coming next. Never confuse stillness with weakness. Some of the greatest transformations happen in complete silence. Perhaps the greatest victory in life isn't becoming louder than everyone else. Perhaps it's becoming so deeply rooted within yourself that no outside noise can shake your inner peace. Because once you master your mind, no insult can control you. No criticism can define you. No opinion can imprison you. That is real freedom. And freedom has always been the greatest form of power. If this message spoke to you, don't let it end here. Take one lesson from today's video and practice it this week. The next time someone tries to provoke you, pause. Take a breath. Choose wisdom over impulse. Choose peace over pride. Choose silence. When silence is stronger than words, you may be surprised how much your life begins to change. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. It truly helps the channel reach more people who may need these messages. And if you know someone who's fighting battles they don't need to fight, share this video with them. It might become the reminder they didn't know they needed. Until next time, take care of your mind, protect your peace, and remember, the loudest voice is rarely the strongest. Sometimes, the most powerful weapon you'll ever carry is silence.